5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the we're thinking of changing it to like the World DMA or the Wonderful DMA. Uh, anyway, the WDMA and the ISSM. And Merry Christmas to all. So let's get started. Okay, here we go. And let's go over to this one. This one I should give you some backstory because it's in French, and it's a really powerful ad about a lady. Well, I'll just read it along because it has subtitles. Let's see if I can get it going. So the lady's at home, and she's looking around the office or her dinner table and sees these numbers, and she just puts in the numbers that she sees in the room and making a call, a random call. And
C'est mamie, ma chérie.
she says, it's Grandma.
Bonjour, ma chérie.
And the little girl says, how are you?
Je voulais te souhaiter un très joyeux Noël.
I wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. And of course, the little old lady just lights up. She says, okay, bye, darling. And the little girl hangs up. And the dad says, who was it? It was Grandma. And they look at the mantle, and there's the urn from Grandma. So it wasn't really Grandma. And it says, don't leave them alone for Christmas. And it's interesting because that part's in English. I guess the subtitles were in English also. So really powerful, not preachy, but an interesting ad. Really, really powerful storyline here. Okay, this was cool. This is a new, just testing it out in LA. And RoboMart doesn't just deliver products, it delivers the entire store. And so here you see the van. I'm not entirely sure if you have to call the van to come with the pharmaceuticals and stuff. And it's a little pharmacy on wheels. It reminds me of the days of the country peddler with the wagon pulling up. And, if he doesn't have it, you don't need it. And, of course, obviously, we can keep track of what's selling and what isn't. It'd be interesting too if they could vary that a little by day or something like that. They say it's going to be fully automated. Apparently, there's one in China that's working really well. So if these guys can scale, that may be better than the home delivery options where you have to order it and go through all the process and they have to deliver one item. This may have better margin, and you might get impulse buys as well to increase your shopping cart. So there's a lot of good about that. Walmart is launching a return service with FedEx. I didn't understand this at all. But, what else is new? It sounds like there's some element of this free. I'm not sure if shipping charges are free. So that would be the big question mark for me in here. But I know that with Amazon, you can take your package back to Kohl's, and my family likes that a lot. So I think this is competitive with that. You're supposed to initiate the process on the Walmart website. So, give it a try. Let me know how it goes. In many stores, it sounds like you can go back to. No, I think this is just for things you bought at Walmart, but maybe things that you bought online. None of that's clear to me. And I know lots of logistics issues. But I know that the retailers are working at it. You really want to get people in your store. I mean, I think that Kohl's move was genius. Okay, now this is a pretty long article. But I thought it was, there's a couple of interesting points here. One is that the printers, this is in PI World, which I forget what that stands for, but it has something to do with printing. And I look at it every day. I just don't remember the full title. It's piworld.com. So if you want to find it, that's how you find it. And they have a picture of a printing press. What I thought was the most interesting part about this was that all those big printers that are mentioned in here, Quad, RR Donnelley, IWCO, and others, are all talking about mail. And they're all talking about how we can help mailers and how we can help people getting into mail. And that's where the WDMA is headed, is that we're working with some great printers around the country. And I think that the printers are the key. I don't think UPS or USPS understands mail well enough. Obviously not, because if they did, they wouldn't be promoting the unforgettable mail or the informed delivery. I never remember the names of those programs, but they've spent millions and millions of dollars letting you know that you don't have to go to the mailbox today. What a mistake. It's the biggest. I think it's a big. My daughter. I explained informed delivery to my daughter, and she said, "Oh, you mean now it converts direct mail to junk email?" I said, "Yeah." And the open rate goes. After a person gets it for a while, the open rate goes down. It's still millions of people, but millions of people in 100 million households is not significant. We need to help the printers. We need to help the printers help marketers understand the power of mail. And that's what's so great about this article. So maybe PI World is taking the place of target marketing, which has gone kind of up in smoke, being bought by Ad Week. Direct marketing in particular has seen some extreme ups and downs. Direct mail has been a big part of the solution in COVID-19. I think that's true, but there's some, again, if you go to WDMA.org and you subscribe, which is just, your name and email basically, yeah, they should understand it pretty well, but I don't think they do, okay? I see a comment there. A long comment. Jeffrey, that's too long a comment for me. Yeah, I know. They should understand it. I was the first person they hired to teach their sales force about the economics of mail and the dynamics of mail. But anyway, sorry, that's just too long. I can't absorb all of that, Jeffrey. Anyway, give me little bites and I can deal with it. But anyway, so this is about mixed stuff, but I've highlighted the good stuff. So volume began to recover in June, has been slowly recovering into the fall, notes John Ash of IWCO Direct. Some sectors like insurance maintained or increased volume, while others like credit cards saw a steep decline. I think I can vouch for that. Some of my catalog clients mailed a lot more. Some of them mailed less. Maureen Powers from R.R. Donnelly & Sons said, headed into the fourth quarter, the recovery seemed to be picking up across the board. Mailers utilized a full spectrum of the customer journey. This was interesting from Scott Harvey at Quad. COVID-19 has been the greatest business excuse of all time. I really like that. That's kind of hits the nail on the head. You either adapt and grow or you die. Now, Quad was down like 38% in third quarter, so I don't know what they've done to adapt and grow. I've always tried to work with them. I worked with them back when Harry was alive, but not since. As we look into 2021 and beyond, we are seeing digital and social media fatigue from marketers. There are only so many demographic lists you can buy into. And Harvey continues, which is where a return to targeted direct mail comes into play. Now, I don't know exactly what he means there, and they may have edited out a lot of the meaning of what he exactly said. But mail, there's a lot of ways that we can model. A lot of people don't understand the untapped value of old customers. You know where you shipped it. So even if you're a .com, you have maybe hundreds of thousands of names that you have never reached out to with mail, and you know their shipping address. So it's worth a try, and you can do data hygiene on that, and you can also run it up against the co-ops and find out who's alive and who's buying through the mail. So there's ways to take even if you're a .com, you've always only been a .com, there's ways, much better ways than trying to take email and append address to it. That just doesn't work very well. Or IP address or something like that. But if you've shipped to the household, if you're a .com and shipped to the household, those names are gold. Those are worth millions, and you don't even probably realize it. Anyway, this Bruce Mandel said the old methods are essentially wiped clean. It sounds like he was doing a lot of financial mail and using FICO scores, and it works for some people. It doesn't work for others, And that's the benefit of doing some really solid modeling with hundreds of variables. There's two camps. One camp is we'll do regression and we'll see what's going on, and that sounds like what Bruce is talking about. But usually that only handles a dozen variables or so, and looks for collinearity. It tries to get rid of variables that move together, and like credit score moves with dwelling value, moves with education level, moves with white collar score, moves with a lot of things like that. And so you'll just pick the one that matters most. Whereas AI and machine learning can use hundreds of variables or maybe even thousands of variables, but you don't know what it's doing. And that's a danger too. And so there's very few modelers that have a hybrid solution, which we developed 25 years ago and have been using successfully against almost all modeling companies, where you can both throw 500 variables at it and also see what it's doing. And so be in complete control and gain insights and understanding. All of those things are important. Okay? So that shift from FICO scores to determine best candidates for various offers became increasingly difficult. The scores we relied on that were so important and that determined what to mail and to whom were less useful. We had to come up with a new strategy. And again, you might want to find somebody that's been through this a number of times. We've been modeling through 3 recessions. Okay, that gives you a lot of ideas to try, because basically you can't just look at what you did last year, right? Because we're still not into last year's COVID. We're still in the happy times, right? Now I'm gonna have the best Christmas ever because my granddaughter's coming, but. Be that as it may, there's a lot of changes. We actually built variables for a client where we took the differential in unemployment. For other clients in past recessions, we've modeled much quicker. Rather than look back to the previous year's season. But you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep seasonal things in mind because they're strong and they're real. But then you also can take into account other variables that you've thrown at it, like unemployment change. Last spring, late spring, we were seeing that the 2019 unemployment numbers were more powerful than the 2020 because those had changed so dramatically. And a lot of the places with the highest unemployment in April were places that had almost no unemployment a year earlier, right? So they had a huge differential. A lot of things to take into account. Why you want to work with somebody that's been through it before and helped other clients not only weather it, but often increase their circulation in the recession. Because it's a great time to gain market share. That's what daytimers used to do. They would set aside profits during the good times to build a war chest for when a recession would hit, and then they would prospect like crazy. So there's still opportunity for you to prospect. From Quad again, Harvey says, in years prior, you might see them mailing to the 3rd or 4th or 5th decile. But as USPS postage rates increase, they're now mailing to only the top 2 or 3 deciles. That means they're cutting their mailing in half. That's a really serious thing, especially if you don't have a lot of content on what the decile means. Deciles are really a clunky way to decide your circ. Really horrible. The only thing worse is RFM. Not that it's not important, but it's got to be put in a mix of other variables. And again, if you're working with somebody that's just telling you these kinds of things, you're only seeing a little piece of the picture. And you want to get with a modeler that understands the limitations of what Quad's talking about. Man, that is serious. That is serious cutting. What you want to do is you want to find the gold in the straw. You want to find the needle in the haystack. And a lot of times in a 4th or 5th decile, there's a couple of cells that could be tens of thousands of names that are well worth mailing. But when you look at it on a decile basis, it just covers up everything that's going on. Okay. So anyway, okay. We had the mindset of why we were waiting until after production to mingle the pieces. Oh, this was kind of cool. Quad's starting to mingle. Basically, they're figuring out the mingle before they actually even print the pieces. And that lets them push them together at the very beginning of the process. Fantastic idea. Going to save a couple of cents on postage and even in production because there's basically, it just basically feeds together. Amazing. The technology of print is fantastic. And, you know, when I was preaching mail in the early 90s, we were talking about mailing costs of 50 cents to $1. You know what? They're still in that range. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Have a great day. Bye-bye.